Michelle Heyward-Dunmyer, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me today.
Oh, you're very welcome. I know that you are obviously a 40-year plus resident of the town of Hollywood. You spent 33 years with the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. You are a member of the town of Hollywood's planning board. And of course, you are a wife, mother, and daughter of a local pastor. Let me ask you this. Why Michelle Heyward-Dunmyer? Why now for Hollywood Town Council?
Because I've always been interested in Hollywood. I've been living here for 40 plus years. I went away to college and I came back, my husband and I. So I'm vested in this community. So I'm just interested in getting this community to where it should be, to help out in the community. I just want to do my part.
Where should Hollywood be right now in your mind?
Right now, Hollywood should be equivalent to like the West Ashley area, especially with my platform talking about the high-speed internet and all that stuff. We should be on the same page as them.
Now, let me ask you this. How do you define quality of life in Hollywood?
Quality of life in Hollywood it's not bad. I mean, we're not where we should be, but the quality of life is great because it's our decision to come out to the rural area, and that's what we expect to live. And the quality of life out here is good. It can be better, but right now it's good.
Good. And you talk about, obviously, Hollywood should be on the same page as the West Ashley area. What exactly from the West Ashley area do you want to duplicate in Hollywood?
Well, and this is going to fall right back to my platform, talking about bringing in businesses. We out here in Hollywood, we always have to travel to the West Ashley area for to go to the store, for instance. We have a selective amount of stores in Hollywood, which we can have more businesses come to Hollywood if we have that sewer and water. So if we can be equivalent to them as the West Ashley area when it comes to businesses, when it comes to like daycare centers, then that's what I'm talking about.
And I know obviously many people on town council want to expand the water and sewer system in Hollywood. Let me ask you this. What for future land development and system expansion opportunities have you actually identified so far?
Well, we are in the process of implementing a couple of developments that's coming out here in the Hollywood area. Being on the planning committee, we have two subdivisions that's actually coming in, and in the future, we actually talking about a specific area for just the veterans. Right. They're going to have their own little subdivision. So if we can implement that sewer and water, then we can bring in more. We don't want to take away the rural culture out here, but bringing in businesses and stuff like that, it also bring in revenues, and it also bring in jobs for our people out here in Hollywood.
Now, what standards does the water supply meet right now?
Right now, we have certain areas that have the sewer and water, but not the whole Hollywood area. So if we can get the whole Hollywood area to have that sewer and water, then we won't have any problems with bringing in, the businesses and what we need to bring in the Hollywood area.
What top water system locations Hollywood would include automatic flushing devices?
Well, again, that's still just in certain areas. When you get your sewer and your water, it's in certain areas down 162. But we want to go ahead and try to expand that so everybody can have an opportunity to have the city water and sewer.
Now, are you worried about the limits to the sewage expansion that might interfere with future development areas in Hollywood?
I don't. I think if we bring that in, it would necessarily help bringing in business in the Hollywood area. But I think if we have it out here, it would be great. It'd be great to have it then expanded to all residents.
Now, are there any failing septic tank systems in the town of Hollywood?
Not that I can recall of any failing. I know they have upgraded all of the pump stations out here. So yes, it's maintained very well in Hollywood. So I can't recall any of the pump station failing.
Now, how should the water expansion be down as far obviously happen as far as phases?
Well, they haven't really put it out in phases yet, but I know when they coming in to bring in these developments for the residential areas, they have it there and they're going to put it there for the residents to come in. Yes.
Now, are bonds necessary for the water and sewer expansion in Hollywood?
I'm not sure about the bonding part for them, but I'm pretty sure you would have to be, and all of that comes through the town of Hollywood.
Hollywood. Now, how many businesses say you want to bring to the Hollywood Town Center?
Well, I don't have a specific number, but I just want to bring in some that will be adequate for our residents out here. I know we have like a grocery store, we have Piggly Wiggly, and then Food Lions out in Ravenel. But if we can get another grocery store, maybe if we can get some gas stations and other little businesses, especially restaurants, then that would be adequate for our citizens in Hollywood.
Now, what are the total number of residents in Hollywood?
I think we have a little over 5,000 population out in here in Hollywood.
And how many restaurants do you actually have there?
I don't know the total of numbers right off my head, but we have little, the little restaurants out here, maybe probably 10 or 15. But I mean, for the big name brand restaurants, McDonald's can come out here. We have a Bojangles, but that's located in Ravenel. But we can also bring something like that in the Hollywood area. We can get a Bojangles, we can get a McDonald's probably out here. That would also help.
Yes, ma'am. And how could you, obviously, many people love the rural area, but how can you ensure growth with smart growth in the town of Hollywood?
Well, that would be on the planning commission board, who are interested in coming in Hollywood. They would have that decision to control the businesses coming into Hollywood, because what we don't want out in Hollywood is to turn into a busy city town where we would take out the rural area, because people move out to the rural area to have nice comfort and, not to have all that busy highways and stuff like that. So the planning commission of Hollywood can control how many businesses come out here so we can keep that rural area intact.
Well, speaking of which, when you talk about highways, let me talk to you about the improvements to Highway 162. How many sidewalks do you want to add to that particular highway?
Well, we need to add sidewalks where our citizen would have adequate, places to walk without being hit by a car or something like that. So if I can implement it down 162 just a little bit so people can have adequate ways to walk down there, that would be great. Because I know in the rural areas, you don't really expect sidewalks, but it can happen.
And I know, too, obviously, there's always talk about traffic. Where would you improve traffic flow on Highway 162?
Well, traffic flow on Highway 162, if we can just widen it a little bit, maybe if we can get some turn lanes on 162, that would alleviate some of the traffic, because if somebody's turning or somebody wants to make a turn in front of traffic, then everything is at a halt. But if we have turning lanes and just expand it a little bit for widening, then I think that would be great. That would help a lot.
And how do you provide safe access to the businesses on 162?
Safe access, again, if we have turning lanes, again, to get into some of these businesses, then that would be great as well. I mean, if we just have adequate places to get there, because sometimes a lot of people want to alleviate traffic, but if we have the adequate turning lanes to get into these businesses, then that would help them as well.
And how many turn lanes are you thinking about when it comes to 162?
Well, I don't have an amount in my head, but we have to look at the whole Highway 162, and then we have to go ahead and document our businesses and where we exactly want those turning lanes. We just don't want to place a turning lane everywhere on Highway 162, but we need to place it where it's necessary.
Now, what are the current towns? What are the town's current growth projections?
I'm not sure about the rejections.
Projections, I'm sorry.
Okay, but the growth projection right now, it's coming in, and it's because of the development that we have coming in. We have 2 developments coming in, and we have a third one, which I mentioned earlier, is the veterans. It's coming, and I think in like the first phase is like 85 houses. So we're doing it in phases, so as they come in, and that's how the projections of it's coming in like that.
Now, the average developer is building how many homes in Hollywood right now?
Right now we have a phase going on off of 162, and that once they complete that development, I think it's going to be actually like 285 homes, and that one that's off of 162 right across from Stono Ferry. And the other one that's going to be off of 165 and 162, their first phase is 82 homes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's the development that we're working on right now.
And what are the housing trends in Hollywood that you've actually identified?
The housing trends out here, we need to get like low income housing for some of the folks out here. The developments that's coming in now, they're going to start at probably the mid 200s. To me, that's not really low income for people. If we can get it from maybe 180 on up, that would help out a whole lot in the area.
Now, how is the rent control impact housing affordability in Hollywood?
How's the rent control?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure about the rent control because I don't believe they're actually renting these homes that they're bringing in here. They are actually for sale. So as you purchase your home, so I'm not sure they won't be probably renting them.
And how many units of affordable housing does Hollywood actually need?
Oh, there's a need for a lot of affordable housing out in Hollywood because, like I mentioned, we have a population of over 5,000. Now, I can't break it down to tell you exactly how many people within that 5,000 may need affordable homes. But what I can say is from that 5,000, we try to keep, if the people want to stay in Hollywood, try to keep your citizens in Hollywood because we have the younger generations that is growing up now and wants to move out. So why not be able to move right back in your own area, instead of going to West Ashley to try to find an apartment or try to find a rental property out there. So that's what we just trying to keep the Hollywood area consistent and safe for the citizens.
Now, what plan do you have as far as rezoning single family neighborhoods?
My plans, I don't have any plans right now for rezoning because as I said earlier, they are already in the process of doing that. I would have to, when I'm elected and get on board, I would have to go in there and watch and see what's going on before any of those decisions can be made. You just can't jump in a boat and just start grabbing and making decisions. First, me particularly, I like to go ahead in there and study what's going on before I can make decisions. I just don't jump into with, just off the wall.
And what cap would you propose on town council in which seniors can't be taxed in regards to housing?
To repeat that question?
Yes, ma'am. What cap would you propose on town council in which seniors cannot be taxed in regards to housing?
Well, right now, I think it's almost like the city. I think with 85 and above age bracket, you got to watch their tax because they're not taxed right now via property tax, I believe, from age 85 and on up.
Okay. And what economic opportunities are critically important to the town of Hollywood right now?
Right now in the town of Hollywood, the economic opportunities right now is just bringing in the business, the things that people need. We need to bring in high-speed internet, the satellites for our children and also seniors. We have, because of the pandemic, that's when we realized that we have a problem with broadband. The children were unable to actually log on to do their virtual learning. And then also because of the pandemic, some doctor's office have been doing virtual. And if you can't get on to see or to do your doctor's appointment, I feel that that's a problem. So if we can implement some of those things into the Hollywood area, then I think it would be great.
Now, should the state of South Carolina make internet a utility?
I think it should.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
Oh, no worries. Where should the fiber lines be placed in the town of Hollywood?
Well, I think you have to study the area. I don't know exactly. I can't sit here and tell you exactly where they are now to actually say where they need to go, but they need to go in the areas right now that we haven't problems with. And I know that's further down 162, which we call the SAP. We call that the SAP. So down there, I know they're having issues with broadband. Also, I think it's like Minnie Hughes School, where they had to bring out the school bus for the kids to get Wi-Fi. So that area in particular, they need to bring it in and focus on that area.
And when you look back at the economy, what is the current tax base in the town of Hollywood?
The tax-based,
Yes, ma'am.
referring to what?
Yeah, when you think of all the money that's coming in, what's the current tax base there?
I'm not sure about the tax base here in Hollywood. Because I don't really get into that part of it.
Okay.
I go to the meetings, but when it
Sure.
comes to that information right there, I don't have that information.
And with the COVID situation affecting the local economy so badly, do you know how it has affected obviously tax revenues the town need for future projects?
Well, yeah, for future projects, we're actually going through this pandemic now, and we're realizing some of the things that we need out here in the Hollywood area just because of that. I mean, if we have mobile units for health for the citizens as well, that will all help out the Hollywood area, because we don't have access like others. Like, for instance, the vaccines that they're giving out now, we would have to go and travel. Why not be able to bring a mobile van out here to give our citizens like 65 and 70 and above the vaccine, so they won't have to travel? Stuff like that. Just make things accessible for the Hollywood area citizens, so we won't have to go out far, West Ashley North area, to get what we need.
And that's a question I want to ask Mayor Dunmyer whenever I get a chance to talk to him. But how much tax revenue has the town of Hollywood, lost over the past 4 years?
Well, I believe we lost a good bit. I don't have the exact amount again, because that information I don't have. But yeah, I believe we lost a lot, because, for instance, some of the businesses are closed down. Some people are not making it out here. So all of that falls back onto Hollywood, where we're not getting the money that we're supposed to be getting in the Hollywood area.
And what is the town's current operating budget?
The operating budget, I'm not sure about the exact amount.
Okay.
But the operating budget, I believe they have it. And I don't know if it's I can't give you a certain amount of money. And I don't want to sit here and lie and it'd be wrong. So yeah. So that's, yeah.
And what new business revenue would you help create?
The new business revenue?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, again, I answered that earlier. The business revenue that I would like to bring into Hollywood, again, is some restaurants. I would like to work on bringing a daycare center here. Okay. So we can have a daycare center here in Hollywood that we can bring our kids to. And I would like to bring in a nice business from a nice restaurant. Maybe we want to come to a nice restaurant. We don't want to have to travel. So those are the things that I want to work on when I get in office.
Now, you talked earlier, obviously, about the vaccines. Let me talk to you about testing versus infection. How many testing cases are there in the town of Hollywood, and how many are actually infection cases that you know of?
I don't know about the vaccine and infection that we have in Hollywood. I can only go by what the numbers that DHEC usually put out. Okay. As far as I wasn't really focusing on the vaccine infections here in Hollywood, but you can go to DHEC and they break it down by the zip codes as well.
Now, let me ask you this. If you're elected to the Hollywood Town Council, what exactly would you do on day one?
On day one, I won't implement anything on day one. Okay. Again, I mentioned earlier that the type of person I am, I don't just jump into something. I would like to get in my position, and I would like to sit down and listen to what's actually going on and where I am most needed. And then I would try to work and implement on my platform.
Where are you most needed right now, Ms. Dunmyer?
Where am I needed right now?
Yes, ma'am.
I am needed right now. Once I get on board, I am mostly needed for the broadband and the infrastructure of Hollywood.
And what is that infrastructure as you know it?
The infrastructure, again, is just like I said, I would like to work on that sewer and water. Okay. Bringing that into the area would be excellent thing to do, because that's the only way that we can expand in Hollywood, unless we have that sewer and water. Because business is not going to come in here just for a separate tank. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So that's the biggest thing in Hollywood. If you get that sewer and water all over Hollywood, then you can start working on bringing revenue into the Hollywood area.
Michelle Heyward-Dunmyer, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups. Thank
you, Quintin. Thank you for having me today. And you have a great Saturday.
You're welcome. Same to you.
All right. Thank you.